What's good, YouTube? It's so funny when we talk about racism, we leave off the idea that racism is a virus, is a poison, it's and not a disease, because a disease is something that you can catch without knowing it. No, racism is fully intentional. It's hate, and it's so funny we talk about racism in America and the context behind it over and over again. But we can talk about racism and how far and widespread it has gone, and that people have always had the intent to destroy black people. I believe that the more you study science and the more you travel the world, you will see that the world is basically all black, and that with people who do not share that common basis saw that, got angry, and decided that they want to be the rulers of the world. Most leaders wanted world domination. Napoleon, Hitler, Caesar, Alexander the Great, all these so-called great heroes of I wouldn't say hero, not Hitler, but you understand where I'm coming from. Great military minds of the Western civilization all um, wanted world domination in some form, some variation, or all controlling power. And you see that they traveled the world. Alexander the Great traveled the world. Napoleon traveled the world. At the very least, they had the scribes and messengers travel the world. And when they went to the islands off Pacific America, they saw giant 20-foot heads of people with big noses. When the first ever people came to America from Western Civ, or the Euro-Americans, they saw Native Americans, but they saw some of black descent that had dark hair. When they went to Australia, they saw the Aboriginal people, the oldest living form of settled people in one place. And they saw them with the big noses and curly hair of black descent. Everywhere they went around the world, Egypt, they saw black, beautiful black figures, illustrations, depictions of great kings, leaders, some who were so high up they believed that they were gods, or at least sent here from God. If Erykah Badu said, if we were made in his image, then call us by our name. Most intellects do not believe in God, but they fear us just the same. So we see all these, no matter where around the world they went, they saw black. They depicted Mayan people as being part of Native American, maybe, but if you go back and look at the Mayans and their teachings, they were black teachings. Everywhere you look, it was all black, derived from the motherland, which was Africa, derived from the world, which was all melanated. And they saw this and became bitter and jealous. And in a fit of rage, they spread their hate and made sure that they could kill as many black people as possible. King Charles in Belgium, what he did. The man, I forgot, in the jungle, who's supposed to be some kind of military guy, killed millions. The Black Holocaust, go look it up. The Aboriginal people that got killed, go look it up. Slavery, how many black folk they threw off the ship, how many they just killed, because they wanted our melanin, they wanted our being, they wanted our rightful place on the earth. Then they turned around and they looked around the world and they saw that it was all black. No matter what corner you went to, you couldn't hide from it. It was all black. So they said, let's spread hate. We can kill, but that means we'll have to get rid of 7% of the population. Because, oh yeah, if you didn't know, if you go look at statistics, black people, melanated people outnumber the whole entire planet. No matter you go to Brazil, Africa, Australia, New Orleans, anywhere you go, it's black people. You can't not destroy 70% of the population and expect it to thrive and grow, particularly in a system that has been built for centuries on the backs of black people, in a system that has preached racism but has found a way to make money off the hatred, whether it be slavery, whether it be apartheid, whether it be whatever. They found a way to make money. Science wouldn't have gone as far. Every time we call it a gynecologist for a woman, you gotta understand that those experiments, those excruciating, painful, brutal, at times, for the way in which they were done, satanic practices were done by this evil doctor, evil man. I believe in South Carolina, who would do all these things to beautiful black queens, and they just gave him bodies in the name of science, which we know was torture, and they want to find out the melanated beings, the experiments on babies, evil, satanic, evil experiments. He was such a good, holy man supposed to be. He did all these experiments on black people. So anyway, they figured that they couldn't kill 70% of the population. So this is what they did. They spread propaganda, and they said, okay, well, we see black people in each and every one of them, but at the same time, we see a couple of sprinkles of non-black people here, sprinkle of non-black people there, sprinkle of non-black people there. Let's spread propaganda. So this is what they did. They spread the propaganda. You gotta understand that you can go back and look at India. Big noses, big, beautiful brown lips, big curly hair. Hannibal, Black King, who ruled the West at a certain time. There are depictions and people that are even going back and saying that great military greats that were at first depicted as other races were actually other people. That the richest man that ever lived the face of the earth, that they say is a black man. That the man who created the Three Musketeers was black. That the man who created he said Mozart or one of those guys were black. Going back and finding out now. So anyway, they spread the propaganda to change the history books to say that no, these weren't black people. Black people didn't contribute nowhere. Black people were just slaves. Then they turned around and said, how can we make propaganda to other people? If you know right now in Pacific Americans, or not Pacific Americans, but the Pacific part of America, for them to learn how to speak English, they show them old movies of Friends. If you don't know what the show Friends was, it was a dry, boring, awful sitcom that had no black people on there. So they're already predicting a propaganda that shows them that black people don't exist in America. But then they turn around and show old antebellum movies, like the Southern Belles, like how are you doing? Like the Belles of the Ball, the antebellum, even worse than Gone with the Wind, like that predicts antebellum time. So they show slavery in a narrative that these things are okay. So they come over here to America thinking that this is what happened. But even further than that, if you go watch a movie called Black in Latin America, they will show you a cartoon called El Negro Mama. And this is a black caricature, not a cartoon, but an actual play, that a person go put on blackface and he goes commit crimes and dance around and hop around like a monkey with these big old red lips and stuff. And there's racism in Latin America. For the first time ever, Brazil is ran by a council of all European-looking men. And that they said how much racism and hatred is in Brazil. That's why I say even with the Olympics and stuff, I don't care about that part. I'm talking about the racism in Brazil. And saying how black people are brutalized on a daily basis in Brazil. Then you go back and look at this new washing machine commercial. I believe that was in Japan, and that they had like she was with the black guy, and she smiled at him. She told him to do like this, like seductively. Told him, you know, how the little seductive finger you seen. I mean, we made that. I don't know. I'm not trying to, you know, what are you seeing? This little seductive finger movement. Somebody, you know. And she went and threw him in the washing machine. She washed the black off of him, and then then the black guy became Asian. Then she was satisfied. She was happy with him, and she didn't want a black guy. Because it's racism in the context that dark skin is ugly. If you pay attention in South Korea, not in South Korea, in one of those countries, they have umbrellas in the daytime. It was a documentary on CNN, because they don't want to get dark, because dark is seen as a bad thing. And that those who get tans and listen to hip hop music are seen as rebels inside those countries, because dark skin is promoted as being black, as being bad. So many racist commercials. Just go type in racist foreign commercial, racist just type in any country, any content you can think of, and you'll see racism. All this is propaganda. All this is used as propaganda to show the basis that black people are supposed to be bad and scums of the earth. Which in fact, black people are the ones who were the originators of the people who were the first ever to walk on this planet. Which you can see for yourself in the history in science, in anything, you can go see that black people were the first to ever walk the face of the earth. Then you can go all around the world. Things that were built 10,000, 20,000, 30, 40,000 before even written language was even brought about. Before we even knew what a Sumerian was, you can go back and see statues of black people with black faces and African descendant figures and faces and facial structures. So they do all this propaganda to destroy black people and to maybe tarnish us and destroy our history and destroy our rights and destroy our languages and destroy our thought process and our minds. And now currently as we go around, there's propaganda all over the world. Go look it up, El Negro Mama in Latin in Spain. Go look up the racist laundry commercial in Japan. Go look up racism black in Brazil, and you go look at the racism there. Go look at South Africa. They colonized South Africa, which is actually Africa. And then when they did something called apartheid, which you're saying that black people have to ride the back of the bus because they wanted to show a superior, inferior complex. Because when they saw these things all over the world, that the original people on the planet Earth were black people, and instead of just accepting it and saying, well, let's just live together as peace. And instead of us, we're not trying to find power because black people are not violent, but actually naturally peaceful. That a black person would do all they can. You got non-black people joining, but I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, I'm gonna put it like this. I'm not gonna throw my personal opinion out there, but you got any given black activity, black people are always welcoming people open arms. Even though a lot of times I feel that a lot of these resources need to be used to try to help us and try for us to learn before we can just give back. They always say that. Try to take care of yourself first before you can try to do this, and then let's set some boundaries. But if we go try to go to a church on any given Sunday in any Clearwater, Mississippi, we can't go. It's just being honest. You try to go somewhere if you want to, and try to go join. SIE, a fraternity out of Oklahoma, said an N can hang from a tree, but he'll never sing with me. There'll never be an N word at SAE. But then you can go on the internet right now and go type in a non-black person in a black fraternity, and they say, "Go on, boy, go on," and he doing all the moves and everything. Miss JT misappropriating, just typically misappropriating our black culture. And then you take Jesse Williams saying something, and then you want to wake up and be like, oh yeah, it sure is. But it still ain't doing nothing about it, because let some one person do it. Like, oh, he trying to be like us and think that's happy. Because they got in the mindset that they're superior, and that if they're trying to emulate us, that they're being gracious, and that they're stooping to our level, or they're trying to level with us because they're so much up here and we're so much down here. So it's still a supremacy, master slave complex. Master trying to be nice to us and trying to do something. That's the kind of mindset they want us to have. That's the kind of mindset that people want you to have. It's propaganda inside the mindset. I'm against you doing. I'm not against you doing whatever you want to do. I want to live in a world where as much peace as possible. They say the average U.S. man only lives to be 72 years old. So that means I've already lived a good percent of my life. My time, it is. You old age, let's say you live to be 80. Even if you're 25 years old, a good percentage of your life is already gone because you only live to be 80. You can't live to be 300-400 years. They said Moses lived to be like 700 years old. That's not happening anymore. Whatever kind of fruit he was eating, I wish he had saved me a piece or had froze me a piece somehow, some way, but he didn't. So that's the way it is. So I say all this propaganda. It's all propaganda because they saw those statues. They saw, instead of us saying, let's live in peace, let's try to learn their knowledge. Let's just try to all work together and live in one piece. They said, no, let's steal the knowledge. Let's misconstrue it. Let's flip it around. Let's make all this evil stuff called mathematics. Let's misconstrue their language, and then let's take away their culture, take away their connection to history, and then do everything we can to try to separate them, and then let's just let be the end of them. And then we're gonna eradicate them. They have eradicated all our history out the history books. There's only like a thick paragraph that say black people were slaves in America, and then they go say that we were not even slaves but immigrants brought over here, like they did us a favor. But then you can go back and go read the article, or you can go back and go read a book called African Roots or Traces of Africa and Native America, and you can go say Africans before Columbus, and they'll show you what the African people were there. And then you can go look at science. If you can't back it up with no book of any kind, you can go back it up with science and go talk to any science and go to NASA, go whoever, go online and go type it. The world used to be one big place. There was no such thing as the countries being separated by water. Everything was one big place. And they'll show you that the Africans went 8 different ways and migrated to America. And many people actually believe that maybe the Native Americans were already here, but the Africans and the Native Americans met up or it's so many different theories, but some people say that Africans were the first here ever, and that Native Americans learned from us. Or some people are saying that we got here at the same time. But whatever it was very peaceful. We hear of no war between the Africans and the Native Americans. That when we were together or when we were met up somehow, some way, we lived in peace. And we were like, hey, it's good to see you. In my crazy imagination of mine, I believe we dabbed up. We learned different hunting techniques. We talked, we laughed, we told stories, and we went on about our merry way. And we'll say we'll see you around. And we went down to South America, and we went down to Australia, and we went down, and maybe a couple of us settled with the Native Americans, because you can definitely see some Black and Native American features. And I'm just not talking about the person saying, I got good hair. My grandmother went 25% did. No, I ain't talking about that good hair theory. I'm talking about legitimately, you can go back and read old stories and read old books and go see old pictures online that will show you how the Indians look black, that the original Malaysian people were black. All these people were black. It's history. It's in the history book. You just gotta go search for it. Not this little quarter paragraph that we were slaves, but actual history that will show you and depict to you that black people were here. And like I said again, if we had just everybody could have done like we did with the Native American, dapped it up and moved on about our merry way, everything would have been cool. But they want to say, no, we want world domination. So what we're going to do is we're going to obscure history. Make sure that they know they were only slaves. Don't tell them that they were kings in another country. Don't tell them the reason why we dress the way we do, we talk the way we do, is because of my mentor said, and I'm gonna slap the mess out of myself when I get off the video and not remember the name of it. My mentor called it hereditary memory or hereditary cultural memory. He called it something where our ancestors could have done something 5 years ago, and through the egg and the reproductive seed of our father, its memory, its spirit, its soul inside of it. They always want to say egg and one little tiny little swimmer can create a child, but in fact, it's so much that reproduce that when we live in our mother, that we connect to her spiritually, what we always call the mother, the nurturer. No matter how much science want to try to mess things up now and trying to make it where me and computer know the mother is the nurturer and the father is producing. In those two things, when those two beings are ejected out and they connect together, it's both our two parents. Part of their spirit or whatever is inside those things, and we're brought to life. But they disconnected us from our culture. They disconnected us from the spirit and from the nurture of the motherland. The mother, the nurturer, the motherland. So they disconnect us from the mother, from the nurturer of the land. You see what I'm saying? It's all a joke. It's all a game. And they did this. So we black people just got to study our own history and do this. But this has been the propaganda and the miseducation. And we don't want this to happen to the next generation. Please like, share, subscribe. But pray for peace all around the world. That's what I want. I want peace all around the world. Maybe I'm just a dreamer. Maybe I'm just a dreamer. But I don't care what Lion Richard said. But that's just me. That's what I want. you know. But anyway, just like, share, subscribe. This is the Brown Brother. Peace and many blessings. Always put God and family first. Like, share, subscribe, and we on to the next one.